What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Wednesday night here at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And look who's back with me.
Hello.
Hello. What's going on, Tim?
Oh, not much. How you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, doing well. Welcome to Driven Wild Outdoors Live. So, few name changes over the last few months, trying to find our niche again, right, Gavin?
Just dialing it in, right?
Yeah, we're dialing it in. We're talking
Precision.
about everything off-road, right? Outdoors. What do you do with that off-road beast that you came up with?
So this is kind of like measure once, cut 7 times.
Sort of like
there you go.
The price of lumber. It's measure 4 times, cut once. Right?
There you go. Absolutely.
We just can't afford. Bronco 78 Adventures. What's going on? How are you, Jonathan Falls? Hey, what is happening? Dirk Connor, thanks for joining us again. Destination Bigfoot Bronco. Hey, what's going on? And sorry we didn't get to see you and everyone down at New Bern last Saturday. We'll blame it on him. Jason K, what is going on? Thank you for saying that. So Tim, we were talking before the show.
Well, you were.
So I'm not going to say, hey, Tim, did you see? Because we've already talked about it.
Tim, did you get a chance to read that entire article?
Yeah. If you didn't, we'll just take a minute, read it, find out.
Yeah.
So we might have a new Bronco trim coming, just a speculation based on a kind of a cool project that Ford did. Now, that is my speculation, not Tim's. I'm not going to speak for Tim.
Yep.
But what's it called? The Wildland?
I believe it is the
Wildland.
So, but I think that's I don't know if that's going to be open to the public.
I don't know. Hey, Bob Bassler,
special use.
So here's what I think, right? I think anything that has good marketing behind it. If I was trying to figure out the next Bronco trim, and we're going to screen share something from the Bronco Nation, by the way, everyone, what we're talking about is Ford and another organization, I think the Wild Fund, came together to give the Park Service this firefighting machine, this Ford Bronco. It's based on a Badlands. And it has some unique stuff on it. One thing that I think is going to be very real with us here in the Bronco community, and that is the front bumper. So we're going to share that in just a minute and talk about it. What did you think about the thumbnail, Tim, with Gavin's only showed one bass he caught, but he actually caught 2 of them?
I think that's clickbait.
Clickbait?
Clickbait.
That is so corny.
Come on, man.
That's a good one, but it's so...
Did you catch it or not?
Wow.
Well,
the dad jokes are running deep here.
No. Yes. Yeah, I'll be here all night, by the way.
Yeah.
Or at least till 10. So,
Till
Tim's
10.
not quitting your day job, right?
I'll be here till 10. Tim will be here till 10. Anyway, it's been a fun night. I tell you, I've had a great day at work. Just a great day hanging out with Little Man here too. So, Tim, what we're talking about is one of the things in the title is what are you doing with your off-road adventures, right? So are you building your Bronco, your Jeep, your Ranger, whatever it is that you're building, your FJ Cruiser? Are you building it to just look at it in the mall and say, wow, if there was a puddle, I'd go through it? Or are you actually off-roading? Or are you doing for off-road camping and sort of those adventures like fishing? So Gavin and I said this is probably corny to some people, but I meant it, is what I thought we would do in July of 2020 when Ford launched the Bronco. We've started living that, right? The camping up in Shenandoah with the all the crazy sounds in the middle of the woods at night, going cool places, seeing stuff that I, hadn't seen before, and going to some really cool places to go fishing. So the Bronco's sort of fitting what we had talked about. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that you guys are living what I have been kind of preaching on my YouTube channel. And that's the and I've kind of coined it as the Bronco Tailgate Adventures. Not all of us live out west in Moab, where we have these great off-roading places to go,
right?
But the Bronco itself is a device. And you can do this with the Jeep. You can do it with you mentioned the 4Runner, the FJ, all these ones is that getting outdoors, uh, doing things with your family, your kids. I mean, you and I, when we first met, kind of had that same philosophy, was that we're not so much Bronco channels as we are outdoor family fun and adventure. And that's kind of what you're living, right? Is how you can use this vehicle to get out and do things that you may not otherwise do because you don't have, you wouldn't have a vehicle that would take you in those places where you would be concerned about maybe getting stuck or whatever. Because now you have a vehicle, although it's never, I don't think, officially made a water crossing, or has dirt underneath on the skid plates.
Come on.
But the point is you've got a vehicle that you can now take out somewhere. You can go to these places that are a little bit more remote and go out and do things and have fun with your family and feel confident that you can make it back, back to civilization without getting stuck or, needing a specialized wrecker to come and get you because, you're off the beaten path.
Well, yeah. And, part of what the some of the stuff that I do that I don't talk about here, everyone's probably figured it out by now. I talked to someone today that he thought maybe I worked at a dealership or something. I was like, no. I'm in a real estate space, right? A lot of stuff around that. But one of the things that I do is help on occasion other companies kind of get to the next level. So there's a little bit of strategy. Some people call it motivational speaking. It's really strategy, right? Because motivation's like an energy drink. It's gone in a little bit. Strategy is here to stay. Right. And replicatable, duplicatable, that type thing. And so one of the things is like, don't wake up and find out that you've been afraid to live. You've been saving for one day. You've been scrimping and saving and living it, playing it safe. And then suddenly find out that you're 70 years old, your kids are grown, and you can, you're limited in what you can do. And so the idea that my dad and I really had a great time together. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 21. And I refused to let that happen to my kids. And the Bronco, sure, you can do it in an FJ Cruiser, do it in a Jeep, you do it whatever. But for me, being a Ford fan, and I make no apologies about it, I like Ford Motor Company. I like the products. I like Mustang and all that. So the Bronco sort of fit the brand recognition that I aligned myself with, along with what I wanted to do. The Bronco came along at the exact right time for market share. Of course, the wrong time for manufacturing.
Right.
But to gain people and eyeballs and interest and things like that, it couldn't happen at a better time. And so anyway, I just think it's cool to mod Destination Bigfoot Bronco. He has kind of talked about this, and I said this before I ever met him. He has sort of that, if you would imagine the off-road overlanding weekend Bronco, it's kind of it, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it just fits. So when you think about like the big picture, sure, my Area 51 Bronco is going to end up with some accessories on it. I have a long way to go, trust me. But I just think that, what are you doing with your vehicle? Now, here's the other thing. Are you building something that's incompatible with what your habits are going to be or you use, right? So are you building a desert runner, but you're going to the Shenandoah Mountains to rock crawl? Gavin, out of where we've been, because I want to get you in here. I don't mean to just for you to sit over here and just you can interrupt me anytime, by the way. In where we've been to the beach or the mountains, what do you like better in the Bronco?
Well, like it depends terrain. On what we're doing. Terrain. Haven't been on too many like trails in the mountain.
Especially in mine, right, Tim? Trailer, garage, princess, whatever.
Right? Yep.
Yeah. But, well, you should have went with me to that. We went on that dirt road out in Tennessee. No, you know what, Gavin and I, we've been to Tennessee twice. Townsend, Bronco Super Celebrate. Detroit, So from southeastern Virginia, that's a little
and don't let anybody fool you. The potholes in Detroit are so big that you need an off-road vehicle.
see, that counts as off-roading though.
It
That
does.
counts sort of like almost Moab.
I'll give you that. And actually, there's some dips in there that are big enough that there's standing water. So you could count that as a water fording experience too. If I were there and I witnessed it, I would check your card. I would punch your card.
All right,
and give you the water fording experience.
Hey, no, it was kind of crazy. Someone, we were shooting a video of a Bronco Raptor on Woodward, cruising next to us. So some guys with Ford. I mean, how hard is that? You work at Ford Motor Company. You have at the time a pre-production Bronco Raptor you're cruising in. So I'm driving. Gavin's filming them, and we had our luggage in the back, and I don't know what we had back there, but there was something incompatible next to each other. So when we would hit those bumps, it would clank. And somebody's like, "My God, is that the Bronco making the noise?" It's like, no, it's the luggage, but the road is what caused the luggage to make it sound like the Bronco.
Hey, we're water fording. Get it? Fording.
Ha 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 ha. So anyway,
so
Mr. Fisherman, you just hang on.
Woodward, did I tell you? And I've yet to find it, so I don't know if whatever happened, if it ever got produced and released, but my Bronco just happened to be in the background of a rap video being shot on Woodward in the traffic jam heading north. When you were going underneath the highway and it was in that section there. And I didn't get an opportunity to catch the artist's name or who the production company was doing it, because I want to put a copyright strike if I see my Bronco in the background of a hip hop video.
No, come on, man. You just want some
don't
credit.
Don't be that guy.
You just want to be
You can get credit.
Well, yeah, I know, and that's the unfortunate thing. I didn't have the nice
guy.
decal on the side of the Bronco. I mean, if I had that on there, and I'd be okay with that.
I think we're going to use we're going to start using this year our Broncos in our real estate kind of advertisement.
Yeah, you should.
Why not, right? It's something different. I mean, kind of what we're doing is what I see everyone else doing, I run for my life. I run like if there's the crowds going one way, I go the other. And so what I want to start doing is kind of mixing it up, pattern break, that type thing. And I figured, well, it's hard with Driven Wild Outdoors on a Bronco for a real estate company, say Extreme Home Sales. And it's hard because it's like, well, then you start getting a lot of information, right? So I think the perfect evolution is Becky's Bronco needs to get some logos on it, right, Gavin? Mm-hmm. And use her Bronco. So you know what? She doesn't need to drive every day. She can stay home once in a while. We can just take her Bronco, right, and do it.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for the comment because I know she's watching downstairs.
I think you should just wrap the entire Bronco in whatever your company logo name is, with a smiling picture of Becky on the side, and call it a day.
No, so actually what we need to do is we need to go ahead and order another Badlands, white Badlands hardtop Sasquatch, dual tops actually, and that's the one we'll wrap. How about that? Mm-hmm. You ready to do that? Because we have a surprise coming later this year that I will not give a hint out to.
Wait.
You have another dog coming?
No, I'm getting ready to freak. Gavin, you better not say anything.
I'm not.
Sorry, suspense, folks. Tune in 9 or 8 or 9 months or 12 months or I don't know. You know how build dates are.
All right, guys. All right, Chad. I want somebody to do the math here. What typically happens in 9 months?
Oh no! Oh God! Date? Now you're getting ready to get me in real. No, I didn't mean it like that.
Now keep in mind you started off with Gavin. Don't freak out. Gavin is the youngest.
Come on, man. No, it's nothing like that. Here we go.
Okay.
I won't tell anyone to show
No.
Me. Just show me.
Good Lord, Tim, you're trying to get me in trouble. Well, you know that.
Well,
that's the dark horse. You know that's coming, but you don't know this other one. Sorry, Tim.
I do not know what this other one is.
Hey, yeah, Tim, I can't. I wouldn't even think you would even suggest that.
Most of the times, he does orders and stuff with me, and he tells me about this stuff. So
I'm going to predict right now that you're going to soup up a E-Transit van as your show vehicle for
that would be
website business.
awesome.
See what I'm saying?
Like 5-inch lift, 35s on it.
Yeah.
That'd be so top heavy.
Some hydraulics so you can take it down to the ground and jack it up.
Yeah, but that'd be so top heavy. You took a corner like this, you're gonna go that because it's so high. And
keep going. I will get ready to get back to everyone. If you're commenting right now, just hang tight. I'm trying to find something. I wanted to shock Gavin live on YouTube here. So Tim, so before we get into the core content tonight, so modifications, did you say you were taking lights off your Bronco?
I am, yes.
Is that something you want to wait for a video to do, or are you going to tell us all about it?
Yeah. Well,
oh, that's why it didn't show up.
Yeah.
So all right. So, and I do have one of your videos queued up. Do you have an issue with me showing one?
Oh, I don't care.
So it's the 67 design stuff. What'd you think about that video that you did on that, the dash mount?
Oh gosh, that was a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. I have a reason for asking.
Yeah, I think I've gotten a little bit as far as the video itself, the production quality, or the or the equipment.
No, the equipment. No. No, the video was fine. I mean the equipment, or what do you think? Here's the thing. It's easy for us to. I talked to someone today about this. It's easy for us to review stuff, and to do that initial thought, but I'm not doing a lot of follow-ups like the oil catch can. I'm going to do a follow-up on it. Okay. Yeah. You liked it initially. What do you think of 6 months later, 7 months, whatever?
So I'll be candid. I like it. I still like it. I think that I got that so early in the game, and I actually ordered it while it was, I don't know if pre-production. It hadn't been publicly open for sale yet. So, so they were taking orders and they were prioritizing them. And obviously I got prioritized because of the YouTube channel, to talk about it. I think it's a great thing. I think there's some other designs that have come out that I might've changed, but it is the one that I know of that, well, there's a couple others, but one of the few that takes it and puts a rail all the way across the dash. So you're not just limited. Some of the other ones, I mean, if you're just going to put up a phone mount, some of the ones that are just limited to that area right there where the accessory is pretty nice. But the full length of the dash, in my case, I've got a radio, I've got a speaker, I've got a couple camera mounts up there, I've got a phone mount. So that stretches it across the entire dash.
Well, yeah, and like I said, your alternator is crispy. We need to do a meme on that. Tim's alternator on his Bronco. You have all that. I know it's fine, but I'm just saying you have all that stuff going on.
Yeah, I still trying to figure out how people are destroying their alternators, but
sending it through the mud.
I don't think it's just the mud. Because generally mud isn't. It's not good. You should clean it out, but I don't think mud would cause that problem immediately. I still think if you go and you look at a lot of the people that are having problems from my research, and that's just me kind of looking, is that the people that are having problems with those are people that are putting it in the mud in saltwater areas. Now the salt could cause things to short out, but those coils should be enameled, the wires in there, and so you shouldn't be crossing electricity and shorting things. It should be magnetic fields, but I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not close enough to it. I don't bother myself with it, honestly. If I researched it and looked into it enough, it'd be one thing, but here, do not say it. Just read it. Look at his look on his face. Are you happy? So we have a surprise for YouTube coming up later this year. And no, Tim, it's got nothing to do with whatever you were suggesting. It's vehicle in nature. Anyway, so what I thought was cool was we're actually talking about some really cool stuff with the Bronco tonight, and we're getting ready to screen share here. We have Tim's 67 design thing, but let's get going. Let's go through the comments and let's get right on into the good stuff, Tim, to the meat and potatoes of tonight's show. That mud gets in there. Bronco. Let's see. We'll go back up to Destination Bigfoot Broncos comment. I want to talk about that. Bronco 78 Adventure said that mud gets in there and over time causes problems. It definitely is not healthy for it. Destination Bigfoot Bronco said, I'll eventually do the dual catch can setup. One thing I would suggest to you is the sooner the better. But the dual can is interesting because with a dual can, you're kind of catching under vacuum and under boost. I have under vacuum only, so I have a single can. It would be great to be able to test that back and forth because there's some arguments to go both ways, right? You should do the dual cans, you should do the single can, you shouldn't do any can. I will tell you that a lot of people hear the port injection as far as dual injection, and there's a YouTube channel called Ford Tech Macaluco. Look it up. I don't have a link to it. I never talked to the gentleman, but Mobile showed up. Mobile Motto, what's going on? Got roped into rabbit hole of videos. Yeah, well, I'm glad you made it. Anyway, better late than never, right? So, and maybe Mobile's just in time for this one. So the difference with this Ford Tech Macaluco, he showed a Gen 1 direct injection only, a Gen 2 dual injection, and he showed them about the same mileage, 100,000-ish miles. And he basically pulled the intake off and looked into the cylinders. And it was interesting. The Gen 2 did a lot better. Neither one of these had a catch can. But, the idea, and that's where talking about his video ends. I can just say, check out his channel. He's a brilliant technician. But if you look at the fact that dual injection is typically spraying at idle, low speed, that type thing, cold start, it's not really under that boost condition. So if you're higher RPMs, you're creating boost, you're out kind of hot rodding it, that's where you're building a lot of boost in the engine. That's where you're going to have more blow by. That's where you're going to have more crankcase vapor. The more the crank is sloshing through the oil, the more vapor's there. So the higher RPMs is where catch cans typically do well. Now, I will say I'm not going to recommend you do it because some dealer may say, well, I'm going to avoid your warranty for that. My dealer doesn't have a problem with it. That's all that matters. Some may have, so I'm not going to say do it or don't do it. Just do your own research. But I'll tell you that it's insane how much oil that we catch just out of our 2.7.
Well, that's confusing.
What?
At the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Gavin, do we have a surprise coming to the channel?
Yes.
Tim, I'll tell you off the air.
Oh, you can buying a Corvette?
No.
To race the wild, the dark horse? Actually,
no. You know what I want to do? I want to take the dark horse to the Salt Flats and register it in a run. I want to go. I have this burning desire to be the fastest production dark horse on the planet.
Okay.
Which just means that anyone with one could do it. You're just crazy enough to actually do it. I just think that wouldn't that be a cool record to hold? Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about that. What would it take to get there? You'd have to unregister the car, uninsure it conventionally, insure it with some type of race insurance, do it, retitle it, and then reinsure it with regular insurance. You know what I mean?
Why would you have to have it registered?
There is absolutely no reason why, if you took a car like that and you were all over video and you were insured by a private insurance company doing that, you would be dropped in a heartbeat. So you would have to totally take it from conventional and put race insurance on it. But race insurance is not full coverage, right? So in the state of Virginia, if you're not insured, you get into a lot of deep, stuff.
So out of curiosity, how do people do these I don't know, grudge races or whatever, the local drag strip
Take their plates off.
tend to run these
Take your plates off.
Wednesday night, Thursday night things where people come out and they just run their street cars down the track and race their buddies or whatever.
So
of course.
Yeah, so the thing is that when you go to a local drag strip, people take their plates off. You always see it with the plates off, and or most of them. There was a story, and I hope I didn't imagine this, and I think it's real, but I thought there was a story where someone out in Johnson Valley, when they were out in California doing some stuff, their insurance was dropped because they were off-road. Maybe somebody in the comments, if you heard that story, read that story, or if it's my imagination, maybe hit the old Google machine and figure it out. But were some Bronco owners, even in this competitive off-road stuff where there's a lot of eyeballs and a lot of cameras, is that an issue? I mean, I'm telling you, when you go to a drag strip, there's whether it's urban legends or myths or whatever you want to call it, people have been they've gotten some letters, nasty grams in the mail. So I don't know.
So mobile moto in the chat put down that many tracks require the vehicle to be street legal in order to run, and then he followed it up with insured and plated. So that's the interesting question. Maybe I should ask my my insurance agent, for a friend, of course.
Of course,
for a friend.
Yeah.
That if
sure.
they
that's
race,
what friends do. They ask for each other.
Yeah, of course. And just ask about, if I were to take this, not the Bronco, but the car I had before had some giddy up and go. And I had thought about doing that, but I was always afraid that I'd be the guy that wrecked my car. So I just I didn't do it.
Bronco 70 Adventure said most insurance companies do not cover off-road, which is the thing, you always get into the politics of everything. So if you build an off-road vehicle and you break it off-road, is it warranted or not? Right. Insurance companies, what's off-road? I mean, off the pavement. What if you're going down a dirt path to a friend's house and I don't know, you hit a low-hanging tree and bust the windshield? Bad example maybe, but that's off-road. You see what I mean?
Well, and so that,
that's why you get lawyers.
That brings up another question. I'm thinking, like, here in Indiana, there's a couple state, and I'm sure it's this way in a lot of them, state Department of Natural Resource run off-road parks. They require your vehicle to be insured and registered to get on there. So how does that, how does that jive if the state is providing you a place where you have to have a street legal registered vehicle? Can the insurance company not? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Well, I don't think it's the state. I think
I only play one in the chat rooms.
We have, yeah, right. I only play one in the comments on YouTube videos, right. Or on forums, because heaven knows on forums. Let's see, Dinwiddie would be the closest to us here in Virginia. Southern Virginia, sort of almost mid-state. That's a private company runs that track. They do a great job too. Great facility, great, well-run, everything about it's first class, but still not owned by the state, right? So there's that private stuff. I don't know, not to scare anyone, but yeah, probably just, whatever you're doing. And I think off-roading, kind of what we do, I don't know would really classify. I mean, if you're going out to Moab, you're doing Baja stuff, you're ripping it up, you're going through the Devil's Bathtub, you're doing stuff like that. Well, yeah, probably. Well, but I don't know, going up a trail in Shenandoah Valley to a cabin's an issue.
So Black Bear Pass, the Bronco Sport that tumbled down the hill, Black Bear Pass.
Yes,
and
yes.
I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure that's a county road, is it not?
I don't know anything about that.
I think that's an actual county road. or a a government owned road. And so there's a question there that car went and tumbled down the hill. There were injuries. Is that something that the insurance company can come back and say, well, yeah, but you're off road. It just wasn't, uh, a regular road, I guess, or a paved or maintained road by the state.
No,
Maybe it was. I don't know.
That's just where you need the old good old attorney on retainer, right? For
That's
I
right.
know, but it definitely would be a legal thing. First, someone just needs to seek legal advice in that case. But I don't know. That's a good question. If it's not considered an off-road park, it just happens to be a gravel, right, county or state road.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know anything about the place. I just hear cool stories about it. By the way, not getting too far off the subject, that Bronco Sport, I don't know what your take on it is, but I was impressed with how intact the cockpit was.
Mhm.
Did you notice that it was almost, it didn't look like a Bronco Sport, but there was a
After it was done, well, it did not look good at
no,
all.
it didn't. It did not. The engine came out. Unfortunately, the dog came out. But I think that the structure of the Bronco Sport held up incredibly well, considering.
I tell you, I think because you've seen, you and I grew up in an era where we had big land yachts, big steel framed, steel body
Yeah.
land yachts that have now shrunk down to these aluminum unibody channeled, structured vehicles. And, that's always kind of something that's in the back of my mind. But for the most part, I've seen these cars, they hold up surprisingly well to impact and tumbling and rolling. The body doesn't look good, but the cage that supports the driver and the passengers holds up fairly well.
Yeah.
Even at a fairly good impact.
Well, speaking of the 6th gen Bronco, the 2-door and 4-door, well, you want to get the comments going. The full size Bronco. I know it's mid-size, but between the two,
Yeah.
That's how you get roasted. The comments on a forum, the full size. But anyway, in like our Broncos, I've been amazed at the accidents that you see, how well the Broncos held up. And I'm not just being a fan. I mean, I get it. I like the Bronco for Pete's sakes, but I mean, I was in the beginning. Okay, how well does it hold up if you roll one over? I mean, Bronkbuster has tested the rollover factor quite a few times, but what about the rear end collision, the side collision? We Kevin, who comments on our channel, he was hitting the driver's side door, I think it was. I've seen other vehicles hit almost head on, sideswiped. The Bronco holds up pretty well. So I think there was a lot of, that rollover video that the NHTSA did. Let's see, Mobile said that here. I have to read it. NHTSA does a rollover test on a slanted rig on that roof, must survive a drop in the height. Yeah. So there's the drop height, there's the drop test, the rollover, the impact, and the Jeep rolled over, the Bronco stayed on its wheels. So
hitting the pylon or whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever they crash them to.
Yeah, and I think that the driver fared better. The test dummy driver, fared better too. But I'm kind of interested. You mentioned Tyler and rolling his a couple of times now, and those have been low speed. Those were more off camber.
Yeah, right.
Rolled over, and we've seen the damage that it's done to the soft top he had on there, and then the other top, the aftermarket top that was on there. I'm sure it's happened. I haven't seen it, but I'm kind of curious to see what that would look like without a roof on there and somebody going over. I think the soft top would probably be the closest without without actually having a roof on there, because I mean, you do have your frame structure for the supports of the soft top, but if you were to come down on a pile of rocks or something, they theoretically could pierce the soft top. So
Got it.
I'm kind of curious to see what that looks like. I mean, I don't mind driving around with my tops off, but whenever I go somewhere off road, they're on for that
Got it.
very reason, in case
Yeah.
I roll over. I've got that structural support in there. But I don't be bopping around town or whatever. I don't mind it. We went over a couple counties over a few weeks ago for a wedding. We were all dressed up and had the tops off.
What do you think about Mobile Motto's comment here up on the screen? So I think it's valid. Obviously, it's a good question or statement.
Well, say, are they not crushing enough because they're too rigid? Or are they not crushing enough because there's not something out there big enough to hit it?
Well, so Mobile had because he's, like I said before, he's a smart guy. He thinks it past the obvious. But last week he was talking about he had a question, and we had ended the show, and the comment came in about the same time. So Mobile, I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but you were talking about bridges. If you didn't have enough deflection or enough bounce on a bridge, you would be concerned.
Yes.
And it's sort of the same theory here, right? So you need movement to absorb some energy because energy is going to go somewhere. So I get the question. So that's a very good question, and I'm going to mull that over because I don't know. But at one step, I'm impressed that it doesn't totally come apart. Although with insurance companies, I know why so many total the vehicles when it looks like not that much damage, because of the cost to fix it. Now, someone had a video, maybe next week we'll share it if I can. I'm going to ask his permission before I just show his YouTube video. But someone was just raising, when it comes to, he has a soft top, and he was starting to get some fraying in the seams. And this is kind of off subject, but we'll talk about it. And a delaminating issue on the inside, which I can speak to myself. We're going to do a video on ours. And so what happened is they ended up saying that the fiberglass piece in the front. So have you seen inside of a soft top, Tim, how it looks? No. So you have a metal frame, and then the very front piece where you can grab a hold of the handle where the latches are attached to is fiberglass. So he was complaining that, complaining. I mean, that sounds like I'm just saying his complaint was that the top was fraying. He took it to the dealer, and they said the fiberglass was cracked, and it looked like there was trauma. He said in his video, and he's got to be wrong on this. He said the frame was $13,000 on a soft top. Like what?
The whole soft top by itself, like what?
$3,000 or something.
$3,000.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if he meant $1,300.
Yeah,
it could be. And so,
but we're talking about cost. What I'm talking about here is cost. So fenders, availability, whatever.
Yeah. Well, so good example, I guess, would be the best top.
Yeah.
If you didn't do but an aftermarket one that is available that you could buy that.
Look at the best top.
And I'm assuming that comes with a frame too. So that would pretty much be everything you would need.
Gavin is going to look up a best top first. Just look it up for our Area 51, 21. You know what it is. Better than I do. It's your vehicle. I'm just driving it.
That's right. Are you paying rent too?
I'm paying rent. I don't even know. I'd pay for it. My daughters are already mad.
So you bought it. You're paying for the insurance and the gas, and you're paying rent to Gavin.
And then when he's 16 and some months old, he gets it.
And you'll probably still be paying insurance and gas. And I'm sure it'll be paid off by then.
Well, it might be paid off now, Tim.
Desktop.
Well, that could be.
Desktop Trek top.
Sorry. It's like, why so elusive? What do you got here?
$899.99.
That can't be right. Best top, Trek top. Get rid of your pop-ups, man. Slanted soft. So Tim, a perfect live stream would share this on the screen for you guys, by the way. Best top, Trek top, slant back, soft top, $899.
Could be.
So it has to be $1,300 for the frame, plus then the material to go on top of it, which apparently is riveted to it. So there's some installation on there. So anyway, hey, Tim, let's share the screen here. Thanks, Gavin, for that. Appreciate you. Everyone, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Don't worry. What are we going to do here? All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's screen share. Let's try this a different way, Tim. Boom. Try to get the format right. So we're both in there. There you go. So if you go over to the Bronco Nation, by the way, very good website, very informative. They just had their live stream tonight, went off right before, I think they went off right before we came on. So they have this, Laura did this article, June 28th, all the details, the Bronco Wildland. So in the very beginning of the show, I said, what if we end up with a new trim? Red and white, well, white and red, sort of like Bronco 78's Bronco, whereas a different, you think of the Heritage Bronco, the red and white one, is mostly red with white accent. This is mostly white with red accent. So could you or would Ford do something like this? But there's something very interesting in this I want you to look at. So basically, Ford Motor Company and the Bronco Wild Fund are donating a 4-door Sasquatch Bronco Badlands to the National Park Service for use in the, and I hope I say this right, Bandelier National Monument. For use in Bandelier National Monument, where they'll operate a firefighting command vehicle. So, on the top, they have a lot of, special comms. They have the lights, they have the emergency flashing lights and all that. But Laura goes on to, and I highly recommend, I'll put it in the description after the show. Go to Bronco Nation, check out their site. A lot of good content. Anyway, by the way, the hat here is from Bronco Nation, signing up as a member. But the build sheet, so let's read a couple lines of this. The vehicle is upfit with an array of equipment to help the park monitor and manage active fires, assist with identifying fires, deliver real-time updates on fire location, severity, and provide other firefighters support. So there's the comms aspect of it, the idea that you can get to where the fire is, Tim. And I'm not going to go through the entire article, so I'll tease it a little bit, go over to Bronco Nation, check it out. But I will say this. Let's see. The build sheet. I was hoping to see something. If I scroll down here, it's hard to tell. We can go through these pictures here, but that front bumper, if it looks, it's kind of weird how that's doing it. You can see this Bronco here, like I said, mainly white with some red on it. I'm trying to get to a good. Oh, here we go. Now, this is interesting for work. What do you think, Tim, about the sort of the tablet or laptop mounting inside?
To me, it looks like they okay, yeah. It looks like they use some kind of RAM mount.
Sure,
it's attached to the base of the passenger seat, and you can see it's adjustable there. It looks like it's one of the larger. I think they call it like an X-wing mount or something along those lines.
That kind of looks like the back of your Bronco with all that comm gear set up there.
Yeah, I think they kind of watched maybe some of my videos and used those as inspiration.
Oh, there you go. What do you think about that?
That to me looks good. And there's that array we had talked about that up on the roof rack there. That looks a lot like something that for Starlink. Now that's the most interesting picture right there, and that's a winch mount on a capable bumper.
At least it looks like a capable bumper, right?
It does.
So yeah. It's either a winch mount that has been made to work on a capable bumper, or it's a bumper, a new bumper that looks like the capable bumper with the capability, right? Say that 100 times, of mounting a winch, a worn winch on there. Yeah. I thought that was because I've told someone you can't put a winch on the capable. I mean, what do I know, right? But I mean, that's what I was told. And so then we have
the two mounting, the part of the frame there that you mount the winch plate to, or your bumper. I mean, that's still there, whether you got the capable bumper, or you got the heavy duty bumper. Although I'm looking at that winch and that looks awful small. I don't know if that's like an 8,000 pound winch, but it looks pretty small. I might be wrong. It might be one of the.
Yeah, it might be one of the 10,000, maybe. So
Yeah.
different configuration. Hey, Gavin's got to go, but before he goes, everyone's watching right now. Let's talk about the thumbnail. So the thumbnail is Gavin holding a largemouth bass up. Gavin, why don't you tell everyone what kind of fun we had last weekend?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Here, speaking to the mic, boy.
It was a lot of it was a lot of fun, and weren't catching anything at our little honey hole spot that we found. But we never caught anything there actually. But we just saw a big bass attack.
You hear that? No, wrong bait. No, don't say it like that.
We've never. How is it? How are you, Gavin? How are you calling it a honey hole if you've never caught anything there?
We saw one big.
Tim, hold on. Oh. When he gets his headphones in, you can ask him that very important question. By the way,
what is it?
All right, go ahead, Tim.
All right, so Gavin, how do you refer to that as a honey hole if you've never caught a fish there?
He called it a honey hole. That's why I called
it. Because I knew the potential.
And, okay. So
and Saturday, the potential.
The description was based on the potential of it possibly being a honey hole.
Yes.
But so far, that hasn't panned out.
No, it did. You know how you have that feeling? No, here's what happened. Okay. I will tell you this. What happened was I'm not the best fisherman on the planet. It was an idea of changing the bait up, right? Temperature, clarity of the water, color of the bait, type of bait. Look, I've got enough in life going on in between my ears that figuring out what color bait, what size bait on what barometric pressure, temperature, cloudy or sunny is a little much. So what happened was we were going through the usual that we fish with. And then I looked at the tackle box and I'm like, well, if I'm a fish, which one do I want? I'm like, well, these all look bland. And then boom, there was this bright green one with red eyes. And I'm like, you know what?
Red eyes will do it every time.
I said, if I'm a fish, and I'm sort of just chilling. I'm hanging out in the lake. It's a what was it? Sunday?
Yeah.
It's a Sunday afternoon.
Saturday.
Saturday. It was Saturday.
His mom's birthday was Sunday.
That's right. So we're just kind of hanging out. Nothing's going on. And then there's all these like earth tone colors going by me. And then a bright green thing. Man, that's it. I'm eating dinner. And that's what happened. We changed it up.
Was that the Gringo Diablo? The El Gringo Diablo?
It was supposed to be a minnow with a chartreuse green, you know, that bright green. Gavin called it neon green with red eyes. That's all it was. And
we caught two, a smaller one, which I thought was big, and then this giant one.
So Gavin's reeling the thing up, having a field day, right? And he maneuvers it in. There's a log and there's lily pads and something else. So he had to get it in between all that. So you did a good job. Mm-hmm. But I was impressed. I mean, that's his... let's see, 2 bass within 10 minutes. So not bad.
Nothing to complain about. Catch and release or
catch and release.
Were they dinner?
No, catch and release.
They should have been, but catch and release. Because they didn't have any parasites or welts or any missing fins.
They were good looking fish. They weren't deformed looking. They were, you know, some fish, like especially fish tank fish, they start getting all these things going on. These fish were just perfect. Yeah. And so it's a good job, Gavin. All right, man. Are you out?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, everybody.
All right, Gavin's out.
And I'm going to tune to the chat in a couple minutes. So if y'all say bye, I will see it. It's just right now.
Destination Bigfoot Bronco said, I always use Tequila Sunrise power bait plastic worms. Okay.
I dip my plastic worms in Tequila Sunrises too. And well, I forget fishing. I just drink the Tequila Sunrises.
So Bronco 78. he has a very accurate comment here. Fishing and off-roading. These stories could get deep.
Yeah. So it was either the fish was this big or the obstacle was this big, right?
Yeah, right. I got you. I see what you did there, Tim. Yeah. The fish. Yeah. Which one am I? Which is more accurate, right here?
Yeah.
Or overall, right?
Or you're not going to believe this.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. And Nice connecting with you, Jerry, by the way.
Yeah. Well, so,
now,
Dwayne, I was gonna say the good news is the great thing about it is that it gave you an opportunity for you and Gavin to go out and do fun family things, that kind of that Bronco tailgate adventure that I had talked about. And that's kind of the things I'm trying to profile. I mean, there's a dozen people out there, thousands of people. I don't know. There's several people out there that have YouTube channels on how to install stuff, and I'll still kind of do some of that. But really what I'm trying to focus on nowadays is just getting out and having fun.
yeah.
My younger kids are kind of at that age where we're going to start trying camping, some tent camping and stuff like that. And we'll see how that goes. But that ability, and that's what I love about the Ford. It brings it to you. And actually, Ford released this, and I don't think it was an accident, right? I mean, this wasn't planned, but this came out during the pandemic.
Yep.
When everybody was cooped up, and we saw van life. We saw people just living out of their vehicles and taking off and getting out away from society. And this truck hit right when that was getting ready to launch, and that built a huge following. Not only people that are brand loyal, but people who wanted just to get out. And that's kind of where I was. I'd had the FJ. I had it for 8 years with 300,000 miles on it, and I watched my oldest son grow up in the back end of that thing as we went camping, played sports, did Boy Scouts, the whole 9 yards. And when he got older and I kind of went back to a sports car, and I quickly found myself missing that ability just to take off and go out in the woods and have a vehicle that was capable of getting me back without being concerned about it. And so, this I think is drawn a lot of people to the community. It just came out at a great time, and it doesn't have to be wheeling or off-roading. It could be just going fishing, but being able to go fishing somewhere that you wouldn't normally go, and it's not the local, pond at the apartment complex.
Right. Well, a couple of things is Mobile said fleeing insanity. You're right, because God, don't get me started on that. The other day, Mobile had another comment. Some of the best memories with his dad, with my dad, was fishing, or my brother and him fishing on the ice at scout camp, and they fell in. Yeah, so like those stories, right? They adding up. Bronco 78, making memories. So here's the thing: it's not about, because a lot of stuff that we do, we never talk about here on YouTube. But Tim, I think and you and I've had this conversation privately. It's important that people break away from the pattern. Look, Jim Rohn once said, and Jim Rohn, if you've never heard of him, look him up. Great motivational life strategist. Tony Robbins, you know who that is. Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' original teacher, so he had a very unique way about him. But he said, life is dangerous. It's so dangerous, you're not going to get out alive. And what he's saying is that if you play it so safe, you don't really live. And then you find out one day that, well, you've lived many years, but you never really lived. The biggest thing is work. If you work all the time and mix working so much that it's an excuse not to go to a kid's birthday party or whatever. And then you have a mindset of scarcity, and some people have hate, some people have worry, so you take a broken mindset and you take the working all the time. And what fun is there? The Bronco for me, and I've always, early on, I wasn't. When I first started in business, nobody was around me smart enough to tell me what to do. You learn to connect with people that help you, right?
Yeah.
So what happened with the Bronco's been a later evolution with me, or any vehicle, right? I am going to take away time, and I don't care what hits the fan. If I can't take 2-3 days off from work, I don't run a business. The business runs me. So the key is, if you can leave a business for 7 days and no one knows you're gone, that's when you have a well-run organization. And so my goal is to get there. And then guess what? You can disappear in the woods in your Bronco for a week, go fishing with your son, something that you'll never get that time back, and take Ford's original launch video and kind of how they portrayed it. You and I were talking about that, and turn it into our reality. So that's where we're at. Sorry.
I agree. I used to be in the position where I lived to work. I enjoy what I do. To me, it's a challenge. It's mentally challenging. And I unfortunately got myself in a position to where I couldn't step away. I couldn't, things would come tumbling down if I wasn't there to put the fires out. And it was before the pandemic, but I got myself in a position where I was mentally drained. The work I wasn't doing, it wasn't bad, but I was never in a position. I was involved in just about every issue that happened on the campus, and involving my team.
Right.
And I walked away from it, and I reset, and I'm like, I'm not living to work. I'm going to work to live. And now it's a whole different approach to it. And I'm at a place where I still have a lot of responsibility, but if I want to take a week, I'm not worried about it. I'll go away. The people that I work with are just as capable of what I'm doing. So I don't feel like I have to be there all the time. And we all have our areas of expertise, right? And we all know enough to support what the other people are doing, but also know when to not make fundamental changes to things when they're not around. Right. So, and so now, so now it's like, I can take off, and I don't even bring a work computer with me. Like the one we were down in Tennessee, Zip Zero. I had a tablet.
Right.
I could have logged in if I had to. It would have been hard to see it all, but all I brought was an iPad with me, and I'm like, I could touch it.
Yeah.
Kind of
Well,
and that's a good position to be in now.
I was going to say, if you have that kind of balance, and so think about, are you really having fun off road if you're worried about work? Jim Rohn, same guy. He had also said in the past that, there's a guy in the office dreaming about the beach, and there's a guy sitting on the beach thinking about the office. It's like, it's always something else. And so if you are out, you pack, you plan, you book the campsite, you do whatever, you go. And then in between the laughs, you're worried about work, you're worried about Monday, you're worried about, man, that's like taken away from the experience. So I'll tell everybody, find your balance, find whatever works for you. But the mindset, the news is engineered to scramble the happiness in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are stressed out, and you like, I don't watch news. Every once in a while I'm overhear a news story or something like that, and I just get sick, like physically sick. Like, God, I gotta get me away from this media stuff, And I mean, Fearless Motivations, a group there that I listen to a lot of their stuff, their stories, their content, and stuff like that. I'll reach out. I do have to understand economic stuff. So, but when I'm out in the trails, I'm not looking at what the interest rates are or what the Fed's going to do. I'm not looking at all that stuff, even though with automotive, you've got to pay attention to it because you kind of talk stories, right? Mm-hmm. I was talking to someone today about the Bronco Raptor. The Bronco Raptor went from a very high-priced toy to very unaffordable with interest rates for a lot of people. And I think that if they're only going to build 6,000 to 7,000 Bronco Raptors a year with average retail MSRP of 96,000, I think that's a good number because that's probably what they'll sell. If you look at paying attention to what's with our market, are you going to buy a Bronco? If so, are you going to pay cash for it? Or are you going to finance it? And if so, that may determine what trim you get. Maybe you want some bells and whistles, but you also want a payment that you're happy with. And so there's compromise. What can I get with all the goodies that I want for the price that I want? And I think before in 21, sure, there was some of that going on, but I think more people were like, well, I want Badlands, I want Wild Track, because interest rates were low. So that wasn't an issue. Now, a very real, almost like an option on a vehicle that you're picking is, here's the interest rates. What do I have to have and what can I do away with? So, but how I wrap all that up is we have to know what the interest rates are to kind of help, talk about what Bronco trim now we think is going to be the most popular, or Ranger or 4Runner or whatever it is, your Jeep, any kind of a Jeep trim.
Well, and I don't disagree. And I know, like, talking about interest rates, when I hear people talk about a higher interest rate on a house, typically 30 years, some start right off with a 15,
yeah,
but it is a little bit higher today. Get it. Don't sell yourself short. You're going to pay a little bit more money, but you'll always be able to refinance sometime down the road.
Sure.
But looking at those high interest rates on a car, a vehicle, 36, 48 months. I mean, how long? I saw somewhere, I think it was an RV trailer. I was looking at just their RV financing, and they had like 240 months financing on an RV payment. I didn't even want to amortize that thing out and see how much money you're losing.
Yeah.
But but looking at a standard vehicle, I think I got mine at 2.1, 2.2% when I got my Bronco. And what is it now? It's 8, 9, 10%. I mean, 4 or 5 years, that's going to make somewhat of a difference.
Sure.
And it could be sizable. And I guess it could be, the difference, but I don't know. I walked out of a dealership one time when we had to, Emily had a car accident. We had to replace her car. And this guy kept trying to sell me a payment. And I'm like, I'm not buying a payment,
Right.
And he do the whole shuffle game, but it kept going back to this payment. No consideration to what the interest rate was and no consideration to what the term was.
Right.
Just a payment. I'm like, dude, I walked out, and I felt bad because not because I walked out on the guy. It was the closer that came in. The sales guy was a nice young man, or, 20s, probably just out of college. And the guy knew everything about the vehicle. He was very knowledgeable. And and he spent a lot of time with us, and we talked about different things. And it was just this closer guy came in, and it wasn't that I didn't want to buy the vehicle. It was, and that's the other problem. Nobody listened, right? It was like Emily's car had gotten totaled, but we were waiting for that. And then in the interim, while they were waiting for it, to be told for the adjuster to come out, the holding lot had a mishap and ran a set of forks through the vehicle.
Come on.
So that was a secondary claim. And I'm not buying anything until all this is rectified. Until somebody says, okay, this is what the deal was, and we're, getting checks cut. I wasn't going to buy anything. And that was my holdup at the dealership and this guy kept just pushing and pushing. And I'm just like, I'm out. See ya.
Yeah, you got to go. Well, and some people, you talk about real estate deals too. Sometimes I'll pay a higher price if the terms are better. So someone say, well, they're asking X amount of dollars, which I think is too much. I'm like, what are the terms? Well, no, the price. No. What are the terms? Is there owner financing involved? If so, what are the length of that? What's the interest rates? Any down payment? Sometimes that trumps the purchase price, because you'll pay a premium on the price to get some really smoking hot terms. Car things are no different. And some car dealers make their money on, the F&I. They go through, they have their buy rate, they have their sell rate on interest, then they have the aftermarket add-ons. And look, car dealers, I will say this, car dealers are in a lot of ways not in a very good position right now. So, we often, and we can go back and forth, if you order MSRP, absolutely shouldn't pay more than MSRP, or in some cases less. Stock items that they have to floor plan, they have to pay interest on, they have to hold, yes, they sell them. Some dealers putting a small markup on those. You could go from there. I don't particularly like it, but I see the point. What I don't see is when you order a vehicle and then there's a markup on that. Because, the point of the dealer even getting it is because someone reached out to them and wanted that particular vehicle.
Yeah.
It's not like it's sitting on a lot. They have to wash it. They have to maintenance. They have to pay interest on it. They have to do all that. I get that, right? And they have less volume to sell. I think Johnny put out a video today, and I hope I'm not misquoting him, but over the last 3 years, maybe, I think and Johnny, if you're watching, hit me up in the comments. I thought he said 19 million less vehicles built. Maybe it was 19 million. And there again, I could be wrong. I don't want to misquote him. But I heard that and I was like, God, what?
Because they're not doing, because they're basically building on order versus.
Yeah. Well, there was, chip shortage. I know someone bought a new Chevy HD, like 3,500 or something like that. I forget how their numbers work, but, real nice, full size, long bed, everything you can get on it, Chevy. And the way they sold it was, he went in and said, "Hey, can I order a truck?" It was like, "Yeah, well, we're getting allocated 3 chips next month, so we can order 3 chips next month." There's a truck attached to the chips. It's not literally 1 chip,
right?
But that's how they described it. So basically, what happened was the way GM did it, at least with what this person that bought this particular truck said at the dealer could only order what they knew they could satisfy in the microchips. All right, that's one way of doing it. Pretty cool. So there's less volume. There's less vehicles because there's less inventory. Now, the flip side, there's less interest being paid, floor planning. There's somewhere between where we were in 2019 and where we are now is a sweet spot. And I don't know exactly where that is.
So let me ask you this. Do you think it's better for the dealer, the manufacturer, the industry, if Ford says, or Chevy or GM, any manufacturer, each dealership is going to get 3, 4, whatever vehicles this month that they can sell, or place an order on, and then they don't take an order until that becomes available again, versus Ford, where somebody placed an order in the spring of 21, and by the 2023, their orders are being canceled. They got to replace an order. And then you get that guy on Facebook that says, that they'd been waiting for, 1,253 days to get their vehicle. Which do you think is a better scenario for everybody?
There again, I think life's about balance, right? I think that the best scenario for the buyers to order exactly what they want and get what they want. But here comes the problem. The problem is, what about when you need a vehicle? I can't tell you how many times in business you find this perfect whatever employee, team member, however you identify everyone at your company. They're perfect. Man, you couldn't ask for a better person. We don't have a vehicle to put them in. You know what? It's a great ad to the company. We need a new truck anyway. Let's go buy a new van or a new truck or whatever. But you have to order, right? So there's reality. That's maybe a bad example. What about the person that their engine blew up? They were going to get a new car next year, but now they have to. They need inventory. The car accident, they need to replace the car. They need inventory. So I think there's a balance of maybe lower numbers of inventory on dealer lots. But if they could really perfect this build to order type scenario, I think that's better because of the floor planning and the cost that they don't have.
Right. Well, I think if they could turn around a vehicle, and we've seen it, vehicles, they get their blend date, and you know, what, 2 weeks later, they're showing up at the dealership, given that everything is running smoothly at the time. Is that a big deal? I don't know. I do agree that I think dealerships need to, or manufacturers need to keep a certain amount of economy cars. We'll call them economy.
Right.
You know, the
entry level.
Somebody's going to need a replacement car because theirs got totaled. Is it a base vehicle that maybe can be added on to, like if they wanted a different package or something, maybe that can be done at the dealership, installed in a little bit more of a modular way. And that is one thing nice about the Broncos. They do lend themselves, because of the modularity, to add some of that stuff on. So maybe it's that the manufacturers look at building more of a base vehicle with the 75% of the stuff that people want. Well, and then everything else be kind of a bolt-on option that they could add on later. And then that way they're not having cars with more options on it than what people want sitting on the lot, but still have an option available that somebody could buy and maybe add whatever, the tow package to, or the different tires, or maybe, the upgraded radio, because it's just a chip.
Tim, did you see my cat joined us for the live stream?
I did. I'm allergic to cats, by the way. My eyes are going to start puffing.
We'll start sneezing. Yeah. Then we'll know it's all up here.
No, it is. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
No.
Bob Masters, thanks for that. Yeah. Oh, Bubbles here. She is a pretty cool cat. She's spoiled. One of the most spoiled animals on this planet. I don't know if you ever saw the live stream I did when I had the other table over here. She jumped up on the tables like right in front of the camera. So I'm looking over the cat trying to talk.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
Did she knock the camera over?
She did. Yeah, it was. Yeah, she did. Good memory. So I've had some fun with this little cat, but she's just chilling out now. I'll leave her alone. But thanks, Bob, for saying that. So Mobile said tax write-off for a business. Oh, by the way, Bronco 78 earlier said that was a huge water crossing. We're talking about fishing and stories and off-roading and stories. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that water crossing, I almost took water over the hood in Pigeon Forge. Remember that, Tim, back in April? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
The sea stories, fishing stories. And
yeah. And you should have saw the fish that I caught with my hand reaching out the window in that same water crossing. How about that, Craig?
And Craig would have known, because he was eating our dust the entire trip.
Yeah, he couldn't see what was going on because there was so much dust back there. I felt bad. By the way, if you're ever going down a dry, dusty road, always try to get the first position there in that sort of drive. It's much cleaner, by the way.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I still got dust in there from that drive and my Bronco.
I did get the first scratch on my Bronco. It's inside the swing gate, by the way. So had some chairs rubbing on it all the way out to the Outer Banks. So yeah, there's that. So I got my first battle scar. Too bad it wasn't from a trail. It was from a aluminum frame on a beach chair. See, I have those cool stories, right? I mean, it's like, that's why I want to take a dark horse across Bonneville Salt Flats at like, I don't know.
Dwayne, I see you in about 20 years sitting around in the lobby of the dealership, drinking the free coffee and eating the free popcorn and telling off-roading stories from your 21 Ford Bronco to any person that's bored waiting for their car to get fixed.
Yeah.
Listen. Yep.
Yeah, you'll never believe what happened. There was dust everywhere. It was so thick, the engine couldn't run.
God.
The water was so deep. Yeah. No. I'm not all that. I do have some cool car stories, and they're mostly accurate. Some of it's a little bit of emotion, but my black and gold car, there's some fun stories. We got to do a confessions of a hot rod owner. That could get fun. But anybody have any in the comment right now, by the way, if you're thanks for joining us, by the way, hit that thumbs up for us. I would definitely appreciate it here on the channel. And also go check out Overlanding for Fun. You can see it right there on the screen. Overlanding, the number 4 fun. Check out Tim's socials and YouTube channel as well. Any questions that you have, I definitely want to know. Big O said, I got my first dent the other day from baseball-sized hail on Sunday.
And we got baseball-sized hail too.
Did your Bronco fare okay?
So Big O lives not too far from me, a little further south. And that storm, that band came through a couple miles south of where I lived. So we didn't get anything more than heavy rain. But
gotcha.
But that same storm produced some tornadoes and up towards Indianapolis, and some I think some of the areas that got hit by the ones back in May got hit again.
Mobile, my Bronco's hood is dimple. Come on. So
well,
that sucks. I'm sorry about that. I guess was that the same storm? Was that last weekend? Because you saw last week, Tim, I showed you the video on my YouTube channel in the company trucks where they were getting beat all the heck with hail. We've had some jacked up weather here lately. By the way, I was thinking today, it feels just like Florida here. Every day you see the clouds. Every day you've got the dark clouds one way, big white puffy cumulus clouds in another, and then there's a storm like that. And then it's gone, the sun comes out. That's been our pattern now for 2 weeks.
We've got some well, you're on the coast and you're going to get that.
But
you'll always have that.
We don't normally get this. It's not normally this unstable. That's like, I'm serious. It's like Orlando, Madeira Beach.
Yeah.
I'm used to that.
Although those are on opposite ends of the coast.
You get a storm, it's out a few days. This is like every day. It's like, okay, we know it's going to rain today. We just don't know when and where.
When I was stationed there was a hurricane that came up. They actually evacuated the base.
What year was that?
90, 91.
90 or 91. Okay, so the big one.
I guess it would have been 90, 91. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember which one that was. It might have skirted the coast because I know 85 was Gloria.
It hit North Carolina. It was expected to come up into the Virginia Beach area, but I think it stayed south.
The Hurricane Isabel, which incidentally hit the Outer Banks as a Category 1, but it had massive amount of water in front of it. It hit full moon at high tide. And so by the time it came over us, it was a strong tropical storm. We had rains for like a week before, so the ground's soft, and mix it up with the high tide. And we had some of the worst flooding in Hampton Roads in September of 2003 we've ever had. Not the most ever, but like top 5. And that was insane. And that's, my heating and air company went from 3 trucks to I think 10 in 6 months.
Wow.
Obviously, because there was so much work and so many people needed stuff. And so, but anyway, getting back to the subject. So yeah, it gets a little crazy around here. So this is something I talked to this gentleman here today, Tim. I'll tell you about this. So I talked to Jerry, and thank you, Jerry, for that. He did say he chatted with somebody at Ford today, and they did say they could order a vehicle direct from Ford on the online order portal. I have to figure out the process. So I'm going to do a video on that. I'm going to research that a little bit because I thought it was just EV, but it's looking like there's an option now to maybe cut through something we were talking about dealers and which is the best way to order it. If Ford gets down the process that you can order exactly what you want and they have a price, and then the dealer does the PDI, the prep, and they do the transaction and they still get the normal fee, that would be win-win, I think, if you ask me. Everyone wins. However, maybe I'm not in the car business, or someone that's in the business would tell me 100 reasons why they're getting.
Yeah. So there's some places that Mobile brought it up that they ban direct sales. Somewhere out west, I think I read, like Tesla
said Florida, maybe.
Yeah, Tesla's work is worked through a lot of these issues, and I think there's maybe somewhere you have to go out of state to get your Tesla.
Gotcha.
But and I know. Well, we saw the news a few weeks back where Ford was basically going to set the price on the new vehicles. And I think that might have something to do with it. That way they can do the online order,
right?
Handle all that, and then just ship it out to the dealer to do the final, on-site inspection and the state required local paperwork, and then handle any aftermarket and post-sale support.
One thing, and this gets into what I was talking about earlier about helping companies, is that the idea that you hear this every day, right? I can't find good employees or good coworkers or good teammate, or like I said, whatever term you use. Dealerships have the same issue, right? So they in a time to where, if like when Johnny's video was talking about the numbers of new vehicles not made, well, means people are obviously keeping their older vehicles longer. They're putting more miles on it, which means they're going to be repairing them more. But dealerships, so you think, well, that's great for the dealer, but then dealers have an issue with finding new service techs. There's so much of a broken mindset right now with certain people that I think it's limiting. And what I've tried to explain and help to other people is you can help train someone or help create someone's mindset so that they could go work for themselves, but treat them so good that they don't want to. I do believe it's easier said than done. So if you're doing it, it's easier to show people, hey, we're doing it, so can you. I think dealerships have to look at things differently. Onboarding training is okay. It's great. Here's our processes. Here's where we keep the rags. Here's where we do whatever. Here's the process, right? The best thing, though, is continued transformation of someone's mindset to work on a level that you require. And in exchange for that, a more positive mindset that then, in fact, makes that person happier when they're not at work. So it's a win-win situation, again, which I love, win-win situations. Everybody getting fat and happy and living life large, right? I love it. So I think mindset, right? And I mean financially, my comment is like financially, healthy. I think dealerships are poised for the dealerships located in an area where they have an abundance of good service technicians, right? And people that they can help train. They are set to really expand and do well. Because if you have a continued time of lower inventory, even though Ford says that manufacturing has, and you look at the numbers it has, and GM and Stellantis. I mean, look at Stellantis; they're filling dealerships up quite, quickly right now. But if you look at how many more vehicles are hitting the market, but what's happening is interest rates might keep you. Now you could physically go buy a vehicle, but the cost of it and interest rates keep you in the old one even longer. Dealers that really do well with servicing, repairing the vehicles in an atmosphere that people want to go back to them are the dealers that are going to really do well with this new inventory imbalance, older vehicles.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious on how many dealerships do fleet programs, to where they're doing all the maintenance on fleet vehicles versus just man or woman off the street bringing their vehicle in for whatever repair. I did say.
Sorry, I was reading this comment here. What was that, Tim? I'm sorry, I was trying to read this comment. I just popped.
Oh, I said I was just kind of curious on the dealerships and how many of them are their service departments are doing like fleet maintenance on vehicles with companies that got these larger fleets of their vehicles,
right?
And doing that maintenance and looking at that in relationship to man on the street who brings his vehicle in for other than warranty repair work.
All right. Hey, Jerry, thanks for joining us tonight. Nice talking to you, and good luck on your Bronco adventures coming up. Mobile said 90% of vehicles have at least 175,000 miles on them. Well, that's a lot.
But he probably does his own maintenance.
Well, I'm sure he does, but I mean, think about the average person, right? I mean, how many people are doing their? You and I talked about. So we have listen, I'll tell you a dealer story today. 2013 Ford Explorer. Yesterday, my daughter says, "Hey, my charging system came on." Alexa, my youngest daughter, she's getting a Mustang, but right now she's driving the spare vehicle we have, a 2013 Explorer. Well, the serpentine belt busted. This was last night. I went out and I drove the car with her. I was like, "Uh-oh." She's like, "My power steering's tight." I was like, "Turn it off." Because I knew at that point what happened. Charging system, no power steering, the belt. So popped the hood. Sure enough, the belt had popped. But thank goodness, the 3.5, unfortunately, is an interference engine, which means if you break a timing chain, it's all crumbs and sparks. But her water pump, it's internal, which is not good. However, it's driven off the crank, so she didn't overheat the engine. I don't think she would have. She just started driving, so might not be aware. And so now she knows. Okay, wait, turn it off and assess everything. So took it to our dealer this morning. I called him early this morning. What are the chances you can get it in? I know what's wrong. The reason why I didn't do it is time. 10% of it. 90% was because in a front-wheel drive vehicle, the pulleys are very close to the fender well, and you almost need a lift to do part of it from underneath. Anyway, they got me in.
I'm surprised you don't have a lift in your garage.
So we're going to be building a new. No, let me tell you, we're going to be building a new house. So I'm limiting what's happening here. So the next garage will be suited for it. I can assure you. I mean, we have a big. You see my garage here, right? It's big garage.
Yeah. Although I think my next house is going to have a 2-story garage that I can do those kind of things in.
Yeah, lift the sort of do that. Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have a lift here, but anyway, so we called the dealer this morning and they were like, "Okay, we're busy, but could you get it here by 11?" Sure. So my wife and my oldest daughter get it over there. We picked it up tonight. Done deal. Works like a champ. Awesome. $200 and some dollars. Done. It's like you can't ask for anything better than that, right? And so that's really good service. And so if you do that and you do that enough and you're doing it consistent enough, then of course I'm telling everyone that's watching this now live or later, I'll tell people in conversation over that. People are like, "Wait a minute, let me go check them out," because I've got the story and it didn't end up that way. It was all this. So I think what happens is that dealers that are able to provide great service and to easily duplicate that great service are the ones that I believe this, Tim. I believe those are the dealers that are going to do exceptionally well in the future. Like Town and Country, I don't know what kind of service that they do or anything like that, but I know their Bronco modifications. They posted a picture of all the Broncos in a parking lot waiting to get modified. It's insane. Yeah. They have an operation there.
And I can't. I've never done. I've never done any business with Town and Country, but I know Mitch Watts, and I'll tell you what,
Mitchell's a cool guy.
That guy's all business.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and he's a good guy.
You can look and talk and listen to him and interact with him, and you see how he carries himself, and that's reflected in their business.
Sure. Oh yeah. That's sort of that whole right. How you carry yourself. Exactly. It's
And he's
consistent.
5'15".
When I met when I not met him originally, but this past year we did we were doing this we were walking around doing this video with a Wild Horse, or Gavin was.
Yeah,
I'm Gavin's driver, professional
of course.
driver, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyway, we took a selfie there. I was like, dang man, you are tall. Like 6'1" or whatever. I'm like, geez, like he is a tall dude. But no, good people. But my point of bringing that out was the operation there with the Bronco mods and that type thing. So if you do that on the modification, the fun stuff, then you do it in service. Vehicle sales are icing on the cake, but that dealership is run off as a service and parts too. You got to.
Yeah, I think the only thing that kills the dealership, and it's just my personal take, I don't like car salesmen. I don't. I always feel like they're trying to sell you something.
Well, they
generally
are
90%. Well, I know, but they're trying to kind of like that one guy that I talked about earlier that was, that I walked out on because all he was concerned about was trying to sell me a payment.
Yeah.
And not listening to me, right? So I think it's possible that some people, and I'm guilty of this too, I kind of transfer what happens in the front of the house to what happens in the back of the house, right? So back there, it's a completely different environment. It's a completely different management structure, and it's two businesses in one, right, under the same building. But I think a lot of people see they get the bad taste, or they just don't like the salespeople, or whatever. It's like I walk in there and they're constantly trying to get me to buy something, kind of thing.
Right.
And I think they see that as one. That it's the same thing in both sides of the dealership. I don't know if maybe some of the dealers should kind of separate the two. It's if they're going to scale back the inventory that they have to keep on hand, right? That maybe it's kind of like the Tesla model for the showroom and the paperwork for the vehicle in a retail outlet. I mean, our Tesla dealerships in the mall. And then the dealer, what was the dealership,
right,
is now just a service facility.
Well, here's the other thing too. I think that when you train, I say train always sounds horrible, doesn't it? When you train your people how to do stuff. When you have a level of requirements of your people, employees or team, however you want to call it, and some people, there's we have a team. Right? It's just the way I operate. Some people have employees. I have a team. But the bottom line is the people working with you or for you, if they know how to add enough value to someone's life, then the perfect transaction is when you add enough value, someone will give you the money for it. I think too many times there's not enough value being displayed or added. Maybe it's not the vehicle for you. Maybe you're buying a vehicle because you need wheels and you need to go from here to there without walking. But I think when someone in sales is able to connect you with something that improves your life, that adds value to your life, man, it makes it a lot better. Think about service. Service is the same thing. I never understood this concept. Your car's in the shop. The service advisor comes up and says, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Whoever, car owner, you need a Knippler pin, and you need a gasket squeegee, and you need more blinker fluid." Well, that's fine, but show me, especially if you go in for an oil change. Uh-oh, the beast is waking up. Especially if you go in for an oil change and then the person doing the oil change is observant enough to say, "Hey, that serpentine belt is starting to fray. There's a little piece hanging off. Here's a picture." pictures should be shown to people in the waiting room if they can't go out into the shop. And insurance obviously doesn't allow a lot of people go in the shop.
Yeah.
But you can take a picture on a tablet and you can show someone, we were doing your oil change. That's all well and good. We're all done with that. But let me show you this, right? Typical. It's when you say upsell and people are, they're trying to upsell me, trying to sell me. So you might want to do this preventative service, or we're showing you what's going to go wrong. And so guess what? When that belt breaks, I'm using that because the last thing in my mind, if that belt breaks, they told me I should have done it. Now, the next time I go in there and they make a recommendation, I'm more likely to go forward with it. But when you start showing people pictures, then on the service side, it's easier to sell. On the new car side, are you selling what you have in the lot, or are you selling what they need? Wants and needs. I have, and I've said it before, I have a great experience with the sales staff at our dealership that I shop at. I say the one that we shop at. I'm lucky. I know that. I'm blessed not to have to deal with the psychological warfare. But I feel bad for some people because I hear some of these stories and I'm like, well, I can believe it, because you have somebody that wants to make a sale. They want a commission. They need to get paid. But maybe that transference of emotion and energy wasn't done properly. So therefore it's a no sell, like in your case, or someone buys it and they hate the dealership because it's not the car they really wanted, but it's the one that they had. Anyway,
I think most car dealers, sales people, and you can say this probably for a lot of larger big ticket items, they focus in on the emotion, and that'll sell, I think, at least in their mind, better than whether or not you got all their needs covered, because they'll find a way to get you past what you think you need and hit on that emotion.
Yeah. Mobile said I hope I'm not cut. I better read this. I don't want to say
transfabulator is miscombobulated.
Yeah. Sorry. You said it. I didn't want to say something to get me in trouble.
No,
I mean, seriously.
Come on, man.
No.
Come on, man.
But yeah, I mean, I think
Putin's
when you
losing the war in Iraq.
Yeah. When you see, God, don't get me started on all
Come
that.
on, man.
Because you have no idea who's running the show. You just know the show is being run. So my thing is, Bronco 78 Adventure said, I see the same problem in the plumbing service world. Too many service guys working on a commission that upsell things that are not needed, many times ripping customers off a new one, or ripping customers a new one. Tim, let me say this.
Oh, yeah. Go.
Let me say this one thing and then have at it.
Okay.
I need drink of water anyway.
I'll take it. I'll run it.
I know some people in the HVAC world that before real estate was that was my deal. That's what I know. They will pay a commission on if you condemn a part, find a part you say is bad, you get paid a commission, and then you get paid to put a new one in. Now you're getting paid by the hour, but there's a commission on that. What do you think that 30 amp single pole, 24 volt transfer or contactor costs now? So if one company's paying their people by the hour,
95 cents.
Well, it's going to be $400.
Oh, by the time it's all said and done, yeah.
By the time it's all said and done, I mean, you're paying the labor, you're paying the commission for this, the commission that. Accounting nightmare. I asked Becky about it because I was advising a company, and they said, "Hey, I heard someone's doing that. What do you think?" And I was like, "No, I don't think it's right. I think equipment's different. Equipment replacement's different because you can also manage that when it comes back to your office, the old stuff. What was wrong with it? Look at it, verify it. Accountability type thing.
Yeah.
But I think parts, it's such frequency and velocity in that. If you're doing 5 to 7 service calls a day, and depending on your geographic location, size of the company and everything else, you might be able to do 7 or 8 a day. You might only be able to do 3 or 4 because of how long you have to drive. My thing is that if you're doing your job well and you're going to make plenty of money in HVAC, but you don't have to charge incentivize someone to find a bad part. I mean,
I agree. I agree.
It's bad,
yeah,
or it's not. Maybe it's working, but it's going bad. Remember, communication, talking to the customers. And I know we're sort of this like driven wild HVAC plumbing service world gone wild tonight, but we're getting to the auto thing, aftermarket as well. Shops that modify off-road vehicles. But anyway, when you deal with someone, if you just show them what's wrong and sell them on the solution, I think that's helpful. Dealerships, I know, like I said, nothing but good things to say about the dealership that we shop at. And the fact my knuckles aren't bleeding because I was trying to change the serpentine belt on a front-wheel drive vehicle or an all-wheel drive vehicle. But here's the thing. What about when you take your Bronco or your Ranger or your FJ or your Jeep, you take it aftermarket to a shop, same thing. You want a lift, what's a popular lift right now? What size? 3-inch?
I don't know. You would have to ask Jody from Bird Dog Adventures,
but he's not here.
The king of if it's aftermarket, he's got at least 2 of it.
Oh, he had two or 3 videos. I don't know. New stuff this week.
He's on his second lift now. I don't know. He did something, and I was like, dude, those tires look a little small on there now. You might have to get some new ones.
Oh, he did do that. I saw the thumbnail had the jack underneath one side.
Yeah, he hit it higher, a little higher than what it actually rides. But to your point, right? So aftermarket stuff, right? This is a specialty that some people, don't like. I don't have the access to put a lift on. I suppose I could probably put puck lifts in, but you notice Jody's doing a lot of his own work now, but he's also going to a co-op. We'll call it co-op type shop where you can go in and rent a bay for the day or whatever. You pay a monthly fee. I don't know what it is, and you get the access to some of the equipment, so you can go in and do those kind of projects. But short of that, there's specialty shops out there, and it's like any other kind of specialty item. If there's not a whole lot of people that know how to install it, you're gonna get a lot of work doing it that route. But
yeah, I just saw Big O's comment here. My daughter just got a $29 oil change at Nissan, and they printed pictures of items that need attention and presented a booklet of what was done and what should be attended to in the future. And that's outstanding.
Well, and I was going to say a little bit ago, and we kind of went down the HVAC path. When I was out fixing computers for clients, and I worked for a company, there were a lot of times that I got more sales credited to me as an engineer than the sales rep did that serviced the account. And it always came from a position of, like you were saying, like this story here from Big O with Nissan. Right. I could walk in and I'm like line iteming items that could cause a problem. Here are the replacements. We need a specific widget to do a job, and here are my recommendations, because this is what I see in the field. This is what I work with. These are the ones that you should probably stay away from. I'm not trying to sell them something. I go in and I give them that information and allow them to make an informed decision and go from there. And that's kind of done well. And that's kind of where a lot of like the IT manufacturers now, they have sales reps, account managers, but it's really, they're more that they're really just the people that pay for lunch and, are doing the paperwork for getting the stuff ordered. It's the sales engineers, the professionals that they bring in that actually do this stuff and have done this stuff that drive the majority of the technical stuff that then gets a package of whatever in front of the client to mull over and make, work from there. And I think it's, it's coming from it's a position of knowledge about a particular product or whatever versus somebody there that once again is driven by the money side of things.
Well, it's crazy too, is think about this at dealerships. And I know we're talking, I guess you could say camping stuff and dealerships and boats and RVs. Mobile was talking about RVs earlier, but especially the financing side of that's kind of crazy. But the tonality, body language, the communication skills, pictures, the Nissan dealer with the report there, I think certain dealerships are starting and certain manufacturers are starting to push that in their internal training that, you have to separate yourself from the masses and understanding how to communicate. Some people can't, they just can't. Fast food place, for example, there's a popular one, very popular, people's loved over the years. I'm starting, like I eat at one fast food place, right? Why did you forget my straw? Or if you took your car to the dealership and they forgot to reset the oil thing, these are not big deals, right? If you went through a drive-through and you waited 15 minutes, seems like an eternity. You get your lunch, you drive away. Oh man, I don't have a straw and I got to go back. Or, or whatever.
They forgot the napkins.
Or, yeah. It's small. And that's the thing, first world stuff. But what people start to say is, well, gosh, did they cook it all the way if they forgot the straw? You start questioning the service. I think dealerships too is on the front of the house sales side. They can really support the service. Service can absolutely support the sales. I think every salesperson should have to work in the service department a minimum of 30 days. They should have to do the oil change, look at what bad tires, look at what alignments do, set up their CRM so that after they sell a vehicle a year later, right before a year later, I've said this before, they're getting a nice email. Hey, thanks for buying the vehicle from us 11 months ago. You're coming up on if you live in a state that requires a state inspection like we do, a little friendly reminder, or 6 months, like we don't go 6 months, but 6 months, hey, maybe, check your oil, have your oil change done or whatever. I think what happens is that dealerships that do that start to separate themselves from everyone else. And when the sales professional knows what vehicle to put you in or all the Bronco trims, they know which one. What do you want to do with your Bronco? I want a Bronco. I know I want a Bronco. Which trim do you want? I don't know. Yeah. If price is not an option, what do you want to do with it?
Right. And I know there's a lot of people like me, and I'm assuming probably everybody in the chat is like me, where, we go in, we've watched 1,000 videos on whatever vehicle, we've read all of the stuff. We come in, we go into the dealership. Unfortunately, we know more about the product than what the people at the dealership do. And I'll give it to Ford. They've got the training that they did for the dealerships where they've got a quote Bronco specialist to learn all that. So it was good on their part that they did those kind of things. But just walking into the, luck of the draw when you get somebody there, whether or not they're going to be even in the same ballpark as far as knowledgeable about whatever you're interested in. Now, some people, once again, just purely off emotion, they go in, I want to buy this because it looks cool.
Yeah.
And they go that route, or it's, like me, where I pretty much know everything and about a particular vehicle. And then they start talking, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this guy doesn't know anything. And you start losing faith in what they're saying right off the bat.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too. Like I was an easy sell at our dealership because I went in there and said, look, here's the trim I want. I built it on paper. This is what I want. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. We ordered it.
I walked in with my dealer. I had everything all printed out from the, like build price thing.
Yep.
And just handed it to him. Here you go. It's all right. That's exactly what I want.
Hey, speaking of first world problems, so I ordered a Grabber Blue, which I need to do a video, a Grabber Blue Dark Horse. And I upcharge $650 for the blue calipers. I've seen a few pictures of, no, look, I've seen a few pictures of blue, grabber blue dealer, mannequins, or not even mannequins, test mules. And I'm really thinking about switching to the red calipers.
I had red. No, I had a black car. I had red. I call them Brimbos, red Brimbos on my Bimbos.
Yeah,
on my car, and they stood out. They look good. You got to have the right wheel to accentuate that.
Yeah.
And your Bimbos have to look good on your car. Now, are these Brimbos? Are they Wildwoods, or what's coming on the dark horse?
Gosh.
Or is it just going to be Ford factory?
No. They're Brimbos.
Okay, they are Brimbos.
Yeah, I think they are, right. Somebody can correct me here.
I
just had a lapse of the old.
I started talking Bimbos, and look what Dwayne did.
My, brain
out in the left field,
sparks flying off.
That's
here.
Right.
I don't get out much. Wildwood.
They are Wildwoods. Okay.
Good deal. So, but I really started thinking about that, and where this is going is that imagine if you're in the sales, somebody comes in and says, "Here's what I want." You start building it out. You say, "Wait a minute, wouldn't that look nice?" Like getting into it, emotional. Like really, wouldn't that look nice if you had the red against that blue? Or I want the blue, or maybe you pick a color that'll go good. I mean, who's picked the color of a car to match their calipers? I guess it's happened. If you have 4 colors that you like equally,
pick your socks.
You're looking for a reason, right?
You pick your socks and your shoes to match your suit. So
yeah, if you think about a car, though, you're spending tens of thousands of dollars in it. But I mean, seriously, if you're on the fence, when I was in 21, I wanted Area 51 at first. Then I was looking at Cyber Orange. Then I was at Velocity Blue, and then Race Red. And I needed, like, holy smokes, like equally. And I forget what it was about the Area 51. I think what it was is it's sort of a chilled color. Just chill out, take it easy. Cloudy, it looks gray. Sunny, it looks blue. And I was like, yeah, that's it, because it changes, the mood changes, right? Yeah. Race Red's Race Red.
Yep. It's aggressive.
Yeah. And
you'll want to send it every time.
You don't want to send it every time and all that. But if you like Area 51, and some people hate it, I get that. Like, I don't hate any of the colors. I just certain ones I don't particularly care for. I like it. I never liked antimatter blue. I thought
I wish I had ordered antimatter blue.
Well, especially you'd have a low vehicle count because they offered it 1 year. But anyway, I don't, if you've got one, I'm not knocking it. Good for you. And that's cool. We don't all like the same color, because wouldn't that be boring, right? But what happened was, I think it was a combination of the top, the wheels, the lighting, whether it's cloudy or dirty or what. And I was like, you know what? I kind of just like it, because it's neutral. Now, Becky's Bronco is awesome. But what I was saying is, if you like the Area 51, but you want just to jazz it up a little bit, Azure Gray for $995 extra is your color, because it's a slight tone change, but it's full of metallic, and that metallic pops in the sun. So I think that what we're talking about, service, right? In the sales. Yeah. If you're sitting behind a desk talking to someone, these are the conversations, what you and I are talking about now. That's how you can get the emotion back in the sale.
Right? Well, and that's absolutely true. If you come in and you know the mechanics of what you want,
right?
But there may be some people who are completely emotionless, but that always factors into our decision when you look at something, you're like, dude, that color pops, or that looks sick, or oh my God, that kind of thing, but I also, I tried to pick a color. I've said this several times. I don't like to be like everybody else, right? So I picked the color that I thought was going to be the least desirable And it was a toss up between the Area 51 and the Antimatter Blue.
Got it.
The only thing I didn't really see any Antimatter Blue anywhere. They didn't have much in the way. It was the gas cans or whatever was really the only palette that they had out publicly that you could kind of see it on, and I never got a chance to see any of those in person. But so I chose the Area 51 thinking that would not be a very popular color, because I like to be a little different. Sometimes you can do it subtly and sometimes you do it flashy, but and as we all know, that first year that turned out to be the most popular color. So now I'm like everybody else, so I got to do something different.
It's easy to add orange. Big O said the web says Brembo on the Dark Horse, so maybe I was right. Let's see.
Brembo,
yeah, on a Dark Horse. So here's the 3 comments in a row. So Mobile said Antimatter Blue is Amazeballs in person. Bronco 78 right behind that said he saw it on a 6G, wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
And then Mobile said again on the F250, it's a lighter shade of antimatter. So what am I going to say about those 3 comments? Well, one is 2 different opinions, right? But also different vehicles. The color, I think certain colors look better on certain vehicles than others. For example, Azure Gray, I like it on the Bronco.
I believe it's pronounced Azure.
Azure. Somebody tell me. Azure. The A word gray. Azure Gray. But it looks good, right? The metal flake. I like it. But I'd still pick Area 51. However, on a Raptor, F-150 Raptor, it's insane. Like,
you can take a look at just Area 51 on the full-size Bronco versus the Bronco Sport. It looks
Let me start typing. It's midsize.
Come on, Chad, put it in the comments.
You wait. I'm sending some hate comments later on your channel. You don't know what you're talking about. It's midsize. It's not full size.
Put it in the comments, Chad, because every comment is viewer engagement. Just makes the numbers go up. No, but it looks like 2 completely different colors, and a lot of it has to do with the trim, the roof, because it's it doesn't have the darker hard top on it. So they look completely different, and it's the same color. And then you take sometimes, and I think who was it? The Mobile Motto mentioned the Antimatter Blue looked lighter on a F-250 than it did on the Bronco. So I don't know if they've got different. I doubt it's different colors. I don't think the F-250 has a different antimatter blue than the Bronco did, but I think the amount of it, the surface area, and other aspects of the vehicle can make it look different, with everything else being the same.
So did you see my Ranger Raptor review video?
I did, yeah.
So there's carbonized gray.
They're pretty dark.
Yeah. So on a Bronco, I like carbonized gray. I think it works. It's a good solid color. If you're undecided, just go with that, right? On the Ranger Raptor, it really looked good. We were out in the bright sun. There was no shade, no clouds, no anything. It really looked good on that Ranger Raptor. So I've got to say that, it's a toss-up. You also have that new green coming out on the Ranger Raptor. It's unique to the Ranger Raptor. You can't get it on the other trims. Shelter something green, I think it is. I don't even know. You would think I would know that color. Let's see. Big O said, by the way, you should have picked Battleship Gray to honor your old Navy days.
Yeah, they didn't have it. If they did, I would have probably.
Yeah,
it's Haze Gray, not Battleship Gray.
Haze Gray, okay.
Haze Gray.
Nick Taylor said, I like the Avalanche Gray on the F-150. Yeah, so that is a good color. That's what I'm thinking about. There's a gray on the F-150, and maybe this is it, that almost looks Oh no, it's probably going to sound dumb for me to say it this way, but it's almost like a clay type. It's it's flat but it's a sharp gray, and I think that's what it is. So, shelter in place green.
Yeah, COVID mask blue. That's what's all come down to now.
God,
come on, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm good with all that. But so getting back to the colors, I think Ford is there's going to be some surprises for 25. Did you want to I was going to go to your do your 67 design video next week, maybe
sure.
More for the mods, because hopefully we can have I think next week, while you're talking about Motor Trends article, I think I'm going to look up for next week's guest. We have a guest next week.
That?
Yeah, someone new. What do you think about the 2025 rumors, obviously at this point, of a hybrid Bronco? You think it's really going to happen?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think that would be one way for Ford to fold another group of potential buyers into the Bronco, that somebody that would want a hybrid but wouldn't necessarily buy the Bronco because they don't have a hybrid version available. And I also think it helps in the to make the government happy. If they've got to produce so many. Yeah. Is it practical or not practical? I don't know. Jeep's doing it with the 4xe. I don't know how that is, but the article that I saw in Motor Trend was all speculation. There was no there was no press release. There was no media there was no Ford contact or person cited. I think it was just them speculating where they feel it's going to go, tied with the mid model refresh, of the 4-year cycle there.
Well, I think
4 years for the mid model refresh. So
yeah, I think if you look at the trend at Ford, it fits, right? Because obviously with trying to EV everything, the hybrid works. You still have the gas engine option, but it works. Whether you're into that or not, so that's irrelevant. But it's one more offering that, like I said, should help the CAFE standard, so it goes part of the bigger plan, and you get to build more V8s, more high performance, even V6s, ICE engines. But I think I don't know. I think 25 is going to be another big year for trims, and maybe that's one of them. We'll figure out what the Oats is. Is that the Oats, or is the Oats a pickup truck? Is it a truck? Is it a two-door?
It could be nothing. It could just been something they put diversion out there to hold. Well, I wouldn't say diversion per se, but I think it could have been a path they were looking to go down, and they
canceled it
in the line, but never materialized.
I will go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say Big O brought something up in here. We were talking about the EVs or hybrids. He's speculating that you'd probably do the Sport first, and I could see that because that car appeals to a broader swath of drivers because it's more fuel efficient, more everyday, EDC type or everyday driver type design vehicle versus a Bronco as a daily driver. But I also, just while I was thinking about that, I think about the last time I was out in San Francisco, and every stoplight, there's 5-6 lanes of traffic, and we're talking in town, in San Francisco proper, in the city. Light stops, all of a sudden you hear all the engines shut off, and then the light turns green and you hear all the engines fire up. That stupid auto start stop thing.
Yeah.
And then they go 2 blocks and then they go through this whole process again. I could see a hybrid being much more desirable to somebody in, let's say, California, where they've got mixed terrain, but they spend a lot of time driving in the city during the day, where a hybrid is much more beneficial than, where you're doing start and stop traffic and not using the gas powered engine, but using the gas powered engine when you get out on the highway and stuff like that. I looked at a while back. I looked at a hybrid, once again, driving 50 miles one way to work. It was almost all interstate driving. Hybrid really wasn't, I wasn't going to spend much time getting any benefit out of the hybrid, because so much of my time would be at high speed interstate. And it wasn't worth the cost difference for me.
Yeah. Well, and my thing is, I'm just kind of stubborn when it, I don't know. There's some politics in it for me until batteries change. I can't really warm up to it. But as battery production and as the material used to create the batteries changes, then I'll be more receptive to it. And I guess one day, who knows, if things keep going the way they're going, I'll have to. But I think there's also going to be a cool down on the rapid move to all EV. I think you're going to see, one day the luxury, the high end, the 1% will be the gas powered hot rods, right? That'll be the luxury tax, so to speak.
Well, but I think the electric now, there's a lot of gaps in it. And Big O just mentioned California is ahead of the curve on everything, good or bad. And that'll be, that'll, we'll have to wait and see on forcing everybody to go to an electric vehicle out there. I agree with you. The battery tech has got to, they've got to do more to get better materials that aren't as damaging to the environment as current battery technology.
Yeah, and and damaging to the people having to mine the raw materials to make them. Yeah. And so that's my beef with it. Is if anybody wants to know why are no, it's not that I'm a Neanderthal. It's just I really despise mistreatment of human beings. That's all. Anyway, but that's another show for another channel. What else is there in there, Tim? Well, I think, next week, I want to tell you, next week, our guest, and I got to get ready to wrap it up. I have a long day tomorrow. Our guest next week, which is July the 5th, right? Am I right? Or did I? Hold on. Yeah. Next Wednesday is July the 5th, and we'll have Second Nature Overland with us. So we met them, Second Nature Overland. We met them at Super Celebration East and started doing some really cool videos. I've watched some stuff and, really good content, a lot. So starting to do the mods and using the Bronco to go camping, to go out and actually do stuff. And that's kind of what we're talking about. It's not the show winner at the coffees. What is it? Coffee and Cars, or Cars and Coffee, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Can you tell I don't go?
Yeah.
But
beers and bratwurst, it's all the same.
It's beers and Broncos and
Broncos and barbecue, I think, is what they're rolling out with in San Diego right now.
Yep. There's some of that, but and what about beers, Broncos, and I don't go to the last one. I'm married. It's just crazy stuff, right? Yeah. All the stuff that's going on out there. Yeah. All the stuff that's going on out there. But I think as you keep adding these fun vehicles, the Ranger Raptor is going to be a fun vehicle. It'll be on job sites. It'll be overlanding. It'll be on the beach, four-wheeling. It'll be in the mud. Somebody will roll one over, whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to be at the mall parking lot. The Broncos, same way. And then you have the Avalanche, and you have, you have your Jeeps as they're starting to change. And I think Stellantis is going to have to really work on the Jeep brand quite vigorously, quickly, and all that, because their inventory is starting to build up. And I think that the magic going forward for Jeep is to bring that price down as much as they can. And because transaction prices continue to go up and up and up because there's obviously a lot of Jeep fans out there. And of course the Broncos brought a lot of those over too.
Yeah.
But I think Bronco and Jeep both needs a trim that's very capable, that is not bare bones, but it's also affordable for everyone. And I don't know what Toyota's doing. I think their Tacoma is pretty well. I've looked into it. I was going to do a video on it one day. I actually got the thumbnail done, but just haven't done the video because I just haven't learned that much about it. And everyone's kind of covered what I know about it.
Yeah.
And Toyota, did you see where they're going to be coming back out with is it the Land Cruiser?
Don't know.
Yeah. Smaller, right? A little bit smaller than the Lexus type SUV. But I don't know how capable it's going to be. But they're coming back out with that. And the rotary engine's coming back. Mazda's bringing back the legend.
Shut the front door.
It's coming back. It's going to be in a
Good
hybrid,
rotary
though.
engine.
Small capacity hybrid. So don't
This is
get
a good little 3-cylinder jobby.
Yeah, so they're bringing the rotary back, and that's exciting. I think the rotary is a neat little concept for what it's worth. Mobile said, I think Ford made a mistake putting the 2.3 in the Bronco. 240 horsepower, 2.0 would have made much more sense against the Wrangler. Yeah, but I think that the 2.3 platform, what I like about the 2.3 is the fact that the EcoBoost and the Mustang, you can do a lot of cross, pollination sort of parts. So you have stuff that is fitting for the Mustang and also for the Bronco, even though you're doing two different things. I get it with the engine. Let's see. Nick Taylor said, what about the Scout? I thought VW was.
My understanding, it's gonna be an EV platform on the T6. On the T6 chassis.
It's on the T6 chassis, which, if you don't know, it's T6.2, which is the Bronco chassis. Ford's working with several different people on that, but so yeah, that same style.
I was gonna say if VW is bringing the Scout back and it's going to be an EV on the T6.2 chassis, there's your platform right there. How easy is it going to be to convert that back into the Broncos?
Well, no, that's what I said. I said that early on when they said, okay, we're going to make this thing an EV. I'm like, wait a minute, that's the T6. We know very well that platform now is multi-use. Mm-hmm. What they like about multi-generational, right? So it's ICE now, internal combustion engine, going to hybrid. Could it be EV? Sure. It wouldn't be in a 2-door, but it would definitely be a 4-door. So, but I think the platform is set and ready for it. I think there's that. There has been mention of the EV. Okay, Mobile said there has been mentioned the EV Bronco on a separate chassis. So I haven't heard that myself, but one thing I would look at is production cost. It seems, if you listen to the podcast Bring Back Bronco, which I highly recommend you look it up wherever you get your podcast and listen to all the episodes. One of the things in there was about the use of this chassis. The Bronco only came about because the new Ranger, that going forward with the next generation of the Ranger, they needed that second vehicle to build at MAP. And I shouldn't say it's the only reason. If you listen to the podcast, you get a feeling it might have been a huge reason that they said, okay, we need another vehicle ready to go. What do you have? All the market research had been done. The ability to use the same platform as the Ranger was there. And suddenly it became very simple. You already own the name, you own the brand, people know it. There's a market for us. You have people begging for you to bring it back. And then it grew legs, and here we are driving our Bronco. So I think that they were thinking about going forward, what could this platform hold? And I think the Scout proves it. So I think it would be the T6 and maybe some alteration from it. Mobile said, Tim, and I know you and I've talked about this, map is nearly at capacity with the new Ranger coming. I said it in my review video. The only problem Ford's going to have between the new Ranger and the Bronco is how do they build them all? So, well, Tim, I think it's time we wrap this up. It's been a good show.
I agree.
Thank you. It's been a good show.
Yeah.
I just looked at the time. It's 11:18. That went by like that.
It's great audience participation.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for the comments, by the way. And if I didn't get to your comment, if you commented, I'm sorry about that. I'll do better next week. But thank you for all the comments. Thank you for the likes. Appreciate you being here, whether you're watching live or on replay. Hit that
team
thumbs up for
replay.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
The who? The what?
Team replay.
Team replay. Yeah. If
Team
you're doing
replay. Hashtag team replay.
Do the hashtag in there. But I appreciate everyone being here, and thanks for all the good comments, all the good stuff. Look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget, and I will post this earlier, Tim. I didn't do the schedule for the show until late tonight, but for next week, Second Nature Overland is going to be our guest. It's going to be awesome. We'll talk about some cool stuff. Tim, any parting words before we're out?
I think between now and then, have a great 4th of July, and I look forward to seeing everybody back on Wednesday and reading about some awesome fun times that people are having with their families on the 4th of July. And we'll see everybody next Wednesday night.
All right, everyone. See ya. Appreciate you. And we are out. Bye.